Here in Roads Less Traveled, we love older cars, and unfortunately, older cars do not tend to love us back. As they age, stuff like this AC control module start to fail in the weirdest ways. These screens go bad and mean you can't use AC in your open-top convertible. Or heat, which is more what I use it for. And that's because these older displays were just not designed to run this long, or if they were, they didn't really have any way to torture test them to see how they would react in the real world. As a matter of fact, these aren't supposed to be stuck on here. Thankfully, the internet and a lot of third-party manufacturers have figured out a way to replace these that are quite cost-effective and, as it turns out, quite easy. So join me today as we dive into what it actually takes to remove and replace one of these from your 986 or 996 vehicle.
To start getting the HVAC controls out, you're going to need to remove the two leather kick pads on either side of it. This is as easy as putting your hand on the back of it and pulling. It'll pop off the plastic tabs that hold it on. There's one on each side. Now in your car, this upper piece may be a CD holder, a tape holder. On mine, I'm prototyping a block-off plate, so for those you're going to have to figure it out on your own. Now to remove the bezel around the HVAC controls, simply just put your fingers on some place you can get a good hold and pull. Be careful, you might break a couple of tabs doing this. The cars are going on 20 years old now. There's a chance everything could have gotten a little brittle. Using a T20 Torx bit, you're going to remove the two screws holding the HVAC controls in. I'd recommend at this point putting your car into either second, fourth, or reverse, or if you have a Tiptronic, pray. I would also recommend removing this little piece of plastic at the bottom here just to give yourself a little bit more leverage. If your controls are mounted all the way at the top, this piece shouldn't be an issue for you. Now at this point, you're going to need to remove these plastic connectors. They're your data and power. They should just pop out. Mine were pretty easy considering the car's age. But now your HVACs are free. Let's take it to the bench and let's take a look.
All right, moving over to the bench now, I have the new screen right here. I got this off of a website. I believe it was Amazon. You can get them from a couple of other sites, including one Italian site. I will link them below, but for now, push this off to the side. We are going to focus on the module. Now there are 3 screws holding this back piece onto the faceplate. There are 2 on each corner of the top of the display. Flipping it over, there is one in the center of the bottom, right down here. You're going to use a Phillips head screwdriver and just work them off. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to put a towel down since this is going to be laying face down. I don't want it to get scratched. It's always good to lay a towel down for everyone's comfort. Alright, so now this should just slide right out. I'll bet you there's some plastic tabs, yep, holding everything together. There you go. So now you have this apart. You can now very, very carefully work this out. Ah, what? I'm going to use a pick because it will be better. Less likely for me to break something. Alright, so I bet there is a way to remove that, but I don't really want to because I hate these ribbon cables. I've broken them before doing things on older computers, and it's a pain in the butt to fix them. So I'm going to bypass that and just move on to the next step. Should be to take all of these little metal tabs here, little fins, you see they're bent sideways, lock the PCB into the display. We're going to just bend those by twisting them with a pair of pliers. Just take a pair of needle nose pliers, be very, very careful. Grab them, twist. Now as you're going through this, remember how far they're twisted. When you go to reassemble it later, you don't want to be twisting them too far. Ah, there we go. And we are free. You can see all the years of Boxster dust hanging out there. All right, so you can now dispose of this. I would recommend cleaning it while it's out. Now you can fold these tabs over. I did it already because I did my steps out of order. I'm trying to do this all off of memory. These tabs are just little metal retainer. Just twist them with a pair of needle nose pliers, grab the center, or actually flatter pliers would probably do better, but these are what I had on hand. and then they will just push straight on through. Which will release the screen. Hey, alrighty. Now set this aside and don't break it. I can't even follow my own instructions. Right, so now that you are here, I'm gonna put some gloves on actually. So this is the module that holds the screen in. This is the side that's broken for me. You can see right there, it's very damaged and really not looking that fantastic. There's the line in the center where the bezel sat over it. So this is all one screen, and that's the sun damaged part, or actually it could have just been from age, unfortunately. So what we're gonna do now is we are going to extract this, and to do that we are gonna need to remove these little rubber, plastic, Delrin, whatever the hell they are, pieces on the side here, which appear to be, which don't appear to be held in by anything. Specifically, I would recommend using a pair of tweezers or something. I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say that this is not the way it's meant to be done. Ah, okay. So yes, don't stick any pliers in there. Fortunately, I have new versions of these, so you're just gonna push this upward, which is going to push this away. So your screen is now pushed out. You can remove the two side pieces. Oh, they came out with the screen. I'm assuming that's why this isn't doing well. I think this might have melted with everything. So now you're going to remove the backing plate here. This is your what gives you that orange color. Remember which way this goes up. So I'm going to just do this. So nothing changes orientation from here. This needs to stay the same direction as this. Everything will line up that way. Now you can see the liquid crystals in here have actually melted away or have run that direction, which is why that had that orange tint. You were actually able to see that through there. So we're going to dispose of this. It kind of looks like these little rubber pieces melted in here too. This thing saw some incredible heat in its day. So what we're going to do now is take this stuff and put it into the old carriage. This is all we're replacing. These are the side pieces that were melted onto my old display. Just put them off to the side and don't forget to put them in. This is the new display, which I need to get out of the packaging now. All right, I did it without breaking anything. And it would appear that this is omnidirectional. So I'm going to, this is in fact not omnidirectional, as it turns out. It is very directional. So a discovery has been made. This is in fact non-omnidirectional. I held this up to the light so I could see what was going on in it, and you can very clearly see the manual controls are over here. So this side of the display, and then your temperature stuff is over here. It's not going to show up on video, unfortunately, but you'll have to take my word for it. When you do this, hold it up to the light, know which orientation you're working with. So from here, you're going to drop these little Delrin pieces onto the side. So they'll fit in like that. And I'm assuming these are just spacers to keep everything happy. Make sure they don't fall over. And then you're going to take this piece, this is your backing plate, and drop it down here. And then this, your final piece to hold everything together. All right, so now that you have this all together, you can bring your display back over here. Remember which way it goes. And then just line up all these tabs. They only go one way, fortunately. There you go. We're back together. So now at this point, you're going to grab the pliers that you used earlier, and I actually am going to grab a better set because I don't want to damage this at this point. Grab some flat nose pliers and just grab them and give them a little twist. Don't go too far. Remember, you're not trying to torture these things, you're just trying to squeeze them into place. All right, so those are all the easily accessible ones. Now for the hardies. All right, so now that those are all bent, we can take this. Make sure all the holes line up. Make sure I did this correctly. Yep. All of that's correct direction. As I said, if you hold this up to the light, you'll see all of the etchings in the display. That's what you see me doing every time I aim this somewhere. And now what you're gonna do is you're going to just reassemble it. Exactly without dropping all the buttons out of it, preferably. So all these buttons are not captive, so if you tilt this over like this, it will try to launch these. And then just throw all 1001 screws back into it. So now at this point you are done. You can just refit this all back where it needs to go. And then replace those 3 screws, 2 at the top and 1 at the bottom.
Before reassembly, I would recommend dry fitting everything just to make sure you did everything properly and didn't do anything upside down. As you can see, mine is working properly and all the functions are working as expected. Now it's just time for reassembly. Reassembly is the same steps as disassembly, but in reverse. I didn't record an outro for this, so I guess this is going to be it. Thank you all so much for watching. If this was helpful, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know how yours failed. I'm curious if they all fail in the same way or if it's different per car. And as always, thank you for watching.